Good to see you, Rena. There's been a backlash against Mamdani, even from the liberal media. I'm talking here about the Washington Post. The newspaper's editorial board wrote an editorial saying his massive minimum wage would depress low-skilled employment, his rent freeze would reduce the housing supply and decrease its quality. They talked about bus fares as well, and his plan for city-run grocery stores would lead to fewer options. I should say that the Washington Post is owned by one of the richest men in America. But you also had the Atlantic magazine, which talked about the magic realism of Zoran Mamdani and noted that his proposals don't actually stand up to serious scrutiny. What do you make of the nomination?
Zoran Mamdani's win in the New York's Democratic mayoral primary tells us what we all have been feeling for quite some time, is that there was an indictment of the Democratic Party nationally coming. And I think it speaks to the moment in which rifts have been exposed, obviously, but the real fracture between the progressives in the Democratic Party and the centrists was shown by the very fact that Cuomo could not win this primary. When you look at former Governor Cuomo, you certainly see somebody who's a product of a political dynasty. But first, he was Attorney General in New York, and he really was, by many New Yorkers, though he was criticized by so many as well for his handling of nursing homes during the COVID-19 pandemic, he was seen to be a steady hand in Albany. But when he resigned due to numerous sexual harassment allegations. And so there was a sense that how can somebody who was so very establishment, double the age of Mamdani, come back and try to win again by telling us that he did nothing wrong? Then you look at Eric Adams, who's been obviously charged with and seemed to be very corrupt. Of course, federal agents came after him. All of this makes for an environment that gives rise to somebody that is a rage against the machine, an anti-establishment candidate like Mamdani. So I'm not surprised. And of course, these margins were what they were, and they're complicated. New York used ranked choice voting in their Democratic primary. This general election, it will be a first past the post winner. So I think looking at this for what it really is, you see an avowed socialist now really having to deal in dicey territory for the.
Rena, from what I'm hearing, you think he could win this?
I think there's a good chance that it could get tipped to him. In fact, I wish Cuomo would just say, you know what, I'm out. Because with him still being on the line, and it would be the fight and deliver line, which is an independent line, and Eric Adams running as an independent, you run the risk of tipping it again to either Mamdani or to Curtis Lee, the sort of joke of a Republican candidate, somebody who hasn't really anywhere. And then if Trump comes in and endorses Adams, for example, that could also give hope to Mamdani, turning out people for him as well. This is a very interesting moment because Cuomo, I don't see him as a failure of a politician. He was somebody who was trying to come in and say, I'm an experienced candidate, I'm a centrist. That just doesn't work given all his flaws that were against him. Also, he showed a lack of enthusiasm. So what I'm saying right now is that Mamdani has a lot of answering to do in these next many months because the billionaire backed groups were behind Cuomo. They're going to complicate his life by making him answer how exactly he's going to pay for the many things he promised.